Alrighty folks, coming at you guys today with another spreadsheet video. Knew I was going to be gone this weekend, so I wanted to cook up a good one for you to enjoy in my absence. Let's hop right into it. Today we are doing the King of Healing. I think I've got it actually titled up here. Yeah, the King of Healing. So this one took a lot of work, guys. A lot of effort went into this one for sure. If you appreciate these spreadsheet videos, show me some love with that like button. Let me know in the comments what you want to see in the next spreadsheet video. This one comes from a request on the Wraith build spreadsheet video or item analyst analytics video from Mr. Master Fatnipz, who said, "Small request, can you make a video to see who the King of Healing / Lifesteal is? I would assume you could whittle it down. The candidates to a couple heroes just of knowledge of the game, i.e. Ramp, Kai, maybe Grux. I think that would be a good video. Probably hard to make considering there's so many build options. We found a way to deal with that. So let's get right into this video. Like I said, a lot of effort went into this one. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's a good one. It's a good one. A lot of interesting findings here too as far as how these abilities actually scale and work that I would not have predicted. A lot of in-game testing went alongside this, which is why there's going to be clips in here from the testing arena, from the practice arena where I did testing for all this to confirm my findings. Let's get right into it and talk about what we did here. So, wanted to do a King of Healing video here. So this is how we broke it down. First off, we looked at heroes with in-kit and in-combat healing, and we got it down to a list of 10 heroes here. In alphabetical order, we've got Boris, Countess, Crunch, Greystone, Grux, Khaimera, Morigesh, Mourn, Narbash, and Rampage, 10 in total. Kalari and Zaris also have in-kit healing, but they were excluded from this list as their healing is out-of-combat healing, so not exactly ideal for winning 1v1s. It's more of healing up between fights. And then Sev is also excluded from this because his healing just comes from Omnivamp from his passive now. He used to have direct healing with the Siphon, but it now just Omnivamp. So those three are out of here. All healing estimates in this video assume unlimited mana and perfect timing of your abilities, hitting them right when they're off cooldown. No items built, so that's one of the key things here. No items built. This is all of these 10 heroes, head-to-head, just their kit. No items. Continuous combat against a single target enemy hero. Most of these heroes have abilities that proc on an enemy hero or get extra heal bonus against the enemy hero if it is a healing ability, so it is single target. People like Countess could hit multiple people with her Siphon and then get more healing, but this is single target enemy hero, continuous combat. And where ult is applicable, we will be factoring in their ult as well. So let's get right into it. The format I've done for all these calculations are right here as follows. We've got the healing hero deep dive format laid out like this. We've got the hero listed first, the healing ability number, so this is the relative scaling that the certain different abilities get that heal them. This can include passives, this can include active abilities. We've got relevant stats that I've pulled from the training arena, both at level 1 and level 18. Some of these stats, as you will see, are less relevant than I thought they were, but pulled some relevant stats from the training arena. And then we've got an estimated heal per second, that's health gain per second, from both their passive regen and perfectly timing their abilities off cooldown and hitting them every time at both level 1 and at level 18. So a lot of calculations in this video. Like I said, this one was a bear to take down, but if you enjoy it, hey, show me some support. I know there's a lot of guys that love this number crunching, so let's get into it. We'll go through it in the order that they appear, which is alphabetical. 10 heroes to go through, so we'll try to make it quick here. Boris. His healing comes from his passive, which is on-hit healing. Whenever he melees somebody, he gets healing with this formula right here where he gets stacks on the Tesseract and then the core comes out at the end. So you've got 0.8 plus some physical scaling plus per level scaling times 4 because you get 4 stacks of this. And then after you've already got the 4 stacks, you get an additional Tesseract core which gets this flat healing 2.5 plus some physical scaling plus some scaling per level. Boris being the first one, I guess, was good for me to get into here because this physical scaling is a complete and total lie, as you will see in further testing of some of the other heroes, this physical scaling does not, it's not a complete lie, it does scale with physical power, but it does not include their base physical power. At level 1, you see here that he starts out the game with 57 physical power. That power is not calculated in this. That, even though when you pull up the hero stats, it says you have 57 power, this passive does not care about that power at all in either portion of it. Same thing at level 18, he has 108 physical power just from leveling up. That does not get factored into this. I don't know why that's a thing. It's very misleading to do the calculations with that formatting, but it is what it is. So this is the relevant stats that he has at level 1 and at level 18. They can factor into this. We've got the base regen for every hero listed at level 1 and level 18, because that is health per second gain, which will be added after any of their abilities or passives. And then for him, we had to get his attack speed because he is getting on-hit regen, and that is his form of healing. So in theory, at level 1, if you factored in his base physical power, he should be healing 21-ish per auto when he's at full stacks with the Tesseract core out. In reality, it's 5. So very big difference there. So, I mean, that's in testing. You can go in the practice arena and do the testing yourself. But in practice, you get 5. That's why I did a second one here where we calculated it without this physical scaling. And it even came out to 7.6. So that's closer to the testing. The 7.6 being closer to 5, which it actually came out as. But either way, it came out as 5 per hit. It's, like I said, weird stuff going on here. I'm sure it's intentional, but it's very misleading when you read that it gets physical power scaling and then it doesn't include his base physical power. Either way, at level 1, he comes out to 7.15 health per second gain if you're constantly attacking. Level 18, same story. If you crunch the numbers, how you would think with his base 108 physical power that he gains from leveling up, he should be healing around 65, 66 per auto. In the testing, he actually only heals 38 per auto, which is essentially what it is if you exclude the physical power scaling right here. So it's weird. It's very weird for sure. I think in certain cases this plus per level doesn't include level 1 on certain heroes, and then on other heroes it does include level 1. So like at level 18, this number on both of these per level will be times 18, and on other heroes it's times 17. The numbers are weird, but either way, we had to just do it through the testing to get the concrete numbers on Boris, which came out to nearly 69 health per second added if you're continuously attacking at level 18 with no items. So those are our numbers for Boris. Now that you see how it's formatted, we'll go through the other ones a little bit quicker here. Also, if you do want to check out the spreadsheet for yourself and see how I did some of the number crunching, the spreadsheet will be linked in the description, so you can pull that up and play around in here if you want, adjust some numbers, try to fix some of my numbers if you find errors. If you do find errors, let me know in the comments and we will talk about them. Let's get right into the next one. Countess, a lot simpler. She only has the Blade Siphon, which heals. These numbers are updated to the new 1.5.7, which got slightly reduced heal numbers for her in this one. It is a on level up, or like based on how many levels you have in Blade Siphon, amount of flat healing with some magical power, and then is multiplied by 5 against other heroes. It's also per target, so that's why we're doing single target, and then the scaling also scales with the ability level ups. At level 1, she's got some base regen, 0 magical power, and then at level 18, again, base regen and 0 magical power. You do not get magical power for leveling up, but based on these findings here, where his physical power scaling from leveling up didn't even get added to his passive, I would assume that even if she got physical power, this probably wouldn't get added, because who knows how they're calculating this stuff, and if it's even intentional at this point. Regardless, at level 1, you're getting 6 times 5 healed for a target hit every 8 seconds, which comes out to a little under 4 health per second after adding her base regen. She is right around 5 health per second at level 1. And then at level 18, it's significantly better at 14 times 5 healed every 5 seconds for 14 plus her base regen, getting you to 17 health per second. Assuming, I mean, this is not very good healing. I didn't think Countess was going to be the king of healing by any means, but because you're usually relying on like Magnify, Overseer, those type of items to get healing out of Countess. But it is worth noting that effectively you gain 10% of your magical power as health per second, just direct conversion for building magical power, because it's 10% scaling times 5, and it's every 5 seconds. It'll even be more than this, of course, with items and cooldowns, but that's where Countess stands, not quite nearly as strong as Boris. Crunch is up next here. His healing comes from his passive. Every third auto/ability hit deals flat plus physical power scaling again, but not really, because this does not include his level up physical power that he gains, so this is only built additional physical power. It also receives magical power scaling, so at level 1, he's got 62 physical power, and at level 18 he's got 113. Those numbers don't even matter, so don't even worry about them. These are his attacks per second at those 2 ranks as well. So at level 1, his health per second is actually terrible, because he doesn't have his ult until level 6, so at level 1, you've just got his passive regen, which is a base of 1.8. So quite poor there. But at level 18, when his ult is maxed out and the passive on it is swinging hard, you're getting 105 plus 0.7, 70% of his 113 physical power, which comes out to 184 health every third auto. Just kidding, you don't actually get any physical power scaling, so it's just 105. Again, very misleading that this is in the formula, but it means built physical power, not the physical power that you see when you click the start button and see your build that it displays at the top. So it comes out to only 105 every third auto. 1.22 attacks per second means that you get 105 every 2.5-ish seconds, plus his base regen comes out to 47.9 health per second, which is pretty decent for a hero like Crunch, where you don't really see them as a full-on healer like you would a Boris. It's not that big of a gap, to be fair. Greystone, another one that I didn't think would be king of healing or anything like that, because his healing is just passive regen based on his max health and his missing health. He gets 0.2% of his health per second back, but it's increased by 1% per 1% missing health and doubled below 50. So you end up using these formulas right here that I have for level 1 and level 18. He has decent base stats, decent health pool. At level 1, his passive regen, which if you read it off of his ability sheet, reads 2, and then at level 18 it reads 6. That's pretty close to what it should be in my calculations of 1.5 and 5 3/4 is what they come out to. So 0.2% of his max health, and then you take that number, which you have right here, 1.5 and 5.75, multiply them by 1.99. This is assuming he's missing 99% of his health. So that's why I said this is under really ideal, perfect timing, no items built, unlimited mana, continuous combat. Ideal scenarios, perfect scenario is max health per second gain on Greystone is at 99% missing health. And then you get a 2x multiplier for being below 50 as well. Plus his base regen, which is 1.2 at level 1 and 5.2 at level 18. Comes out to 7.17 is what the calculation shows. In my testing, I was able to get it closer to 7.7 in the practice arena. So slight disparity there. And then at level 18, coming out to 28, which is exactly what I was able to get in the testing. So 7.7-ish basically health per second at level 1, and then 28 at max level. Now, if you want to factor in his ult healing, which is what I went ahead and did for him, if you're hitting your ult as soon as it comes off cooldown and you're low enough to get max value out of the ult, it essentially at level 18 adds 7 or nearly 8 health per second total regen. That's the total that you'll heal from the ult divided by the cooldown of it. So that does bring him up to a respectable 35, nearly 36 health per second at level 18, factoring in his ult. So not a bad healer by any means. Grux, his healing comes from the double pain. It's pretty nice because it has max health scaling and missing health scaling, and it gets on a quite short cooldown when it gets max rank. Very solid ability for sure. Pulled some stats for him at level 1. Double pain reads 22 healed. That is not factoring in his missing health. That's just what it reads. But he's got 1.8 base regen, 725 base health, and then at level 18, He's got 5.5 base regen, significantly more health at 2782, and double pain reads 139, but it will heal you for significantly more than that because of your missing health. So for the calculations on Grux, we looked at how much he would heal if he was literally 1 health left, because that's the best case scenario to get this missing health bonus. So at level 1, if you take the double pain first, you're literally 1 health left, which means you're getting 12% of 724, which would be your missing health out of 725. You can get 108 healed off of the 1 ability every 10 seconds, which is very solid level 1 health regen. Of course, keep in mind that this is far beyond a realistic scenario because it's 1 health left, and hitting it repeatedly on 1 health is not really going to happen. Same thing for level 18. We're calculating it with him having 1 health left, and it's on a much shorter cooldown of every 6 seconds, which comes out to a very respectable 84.5 nearly health per second gain if you're spamming it off cooldown and getting back to 1 health between every 6-second ability hit. Far beyond realistic, but hey, that's alright. That's what we're here for. We're testing the absolute peak. Next up, we get to Khaimera, and no surprise, this man's regen is absolutely insane. You can just look straight at these numbers and go ahead and realize how ridiculous this is. His regen is true regen, and it stacks up to 30 times, and it's based off of level, not necessarily any sort of other scaling, so you're going to get this healing no matter what you build, which is quite nice. And then he also has Invigorate on top, which is a max health based heal and a regen based heal, and it's on a longer cooldown, but it will still heal you for quite a bit. So once we factor that in here, you're going to see it gets pretty insane. Level 1, he has sub 700 health, and a 1.8 regen is kind of standard, and the Invigorate reads 42 healing, but it will really heal you for a lot more because of this 2.5 times your current health regen multiplier that it gets in addition to its max health scaling. And it's only 6% max health at level 1, whereas at max level it will be 14% of your max health, which is a massive heal. That's a ridiculous heal, especially like compared to Grux, which is getting like a 5% max. This is a 14% max health healing ability. Is absurd on top of the cleanse. So at level 18, Invigorate reads 383, which is already a lot, but when you're hitting it and you're already stacked up with this regen and it's getting 2.5 times your current health regen on top, Invigorate can easily heal you for 900, 1,000 plus without even items on, which is absurd. So looking at the level 1 healing, it's 0.6 health per second per stack times 30 stacks. That comes to 18. Invigorate will add 6% of your max health plus 2.5 times that 18 health per second that you have as regen. So after adding his base of 1.8, that comes out to 23.74 health per second at level 1. This is assuming you take Invigorate at level 1, of course, which you will not be. But it is there. It's an absurd healing number for a level 1 hero. But even more absurd, at level 18, 7.25 health per stack, stacking up to 30 times. Just with the passive stacks alone, you're getting near 220 health per second, which is just crazy. Then you factor in that Invigorate is going to be healing you for an absurd amount every 12 seconds instead of every 22, because 14% of your new giant max health pool, it gets dumb. Invigorate alone coming out to 77 health per second if you're spamming it off cooldown and you have your passive stacks up. That is crazy, totaling to near 300 health per second gains if you're at 30 stacks and spamming Invigorate. That's just absurd. That we really don't have to look any further. That is the king of healing. Khaimera is the king of healing. There's no way around it. This is 0 items built. This is no items built, and he's able to get this level of health per second. I mean, that is just crazy. I mean, this basically means that if you have tank items built, and you are forcing a 1v1 where they cannot deal 300 sustained damage per second to you, they literally can never kill you in an indefinite time span. If you're spamming Invigorate and keeping stacks up, they will never be able to kill you unless they can deal over 300 damage per second sustained. And even if they can, let's say they're dealing 500 damage per second, which is a lot, but it is reasonable. they've got to sustain that for a 20-second average, a 30-second average just to take you down. That is absurd. That's why Khaimera is the king of healing, and that's why you see him jump into 1v3s and come out alive. He's got the kit to do that and the in-kit healing for sure. Morigesh, she's got 2 abilities that heal her. She's got the Mark, which heals her now, which for a flat amount plus magical scaling on a pretty short cooldown. And then she's got the Swarm, where she deals damage when she passes through someone, and 40% of that damage that she deals, she receives back as health, and it is on a little bit longer cooldown. So 2 abilities to heal off of. Not too many relative stats, because again, you do not get magic power for leveling, so it's just base regen at level 1 and 18. But at level 1, she's only got 1 ability to heal from. So you can either take her healing from Mark, which is going to come out to a measly 1.17 health per second on average if you're spamming it on cooldown, or Swarm, which is going to come out to slightly better at 2 health per second if you're spamming it on cooldown. Either way, it's not much, plus her base regen only comes out to 3.3 health per second. Very puny when you look at these previous healers. But at level 18, she is going to have both abilities to spam, so if you're spamming them on cooldown, Mark with the flat 50 prior to scaling comes out to 11, and then Swarm, which is going to come out to a little over 9, plus her base does get her to 24, a little over 24 health per second from spamming her abilities. With no items, she is going to scale very well with items, but you know, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad when you see what she's been stacked up against here. Mourn, another solid one because his passive heals so much. He's got a passive and an ability heal, so the passive is 4 to 10% of your max health on a cooldown of 8 seconds, which is pretty good. And then on top of that, the contagion, the bugs, which does tick healing, restores a flat amount plus physical scaling times 3 ticks on a 13 to 9 second cooldown, depending on how much it's leveled. Again, magical power does not matter here, but he does have some base regen and some base health. Since his passive heals based off of max health, that is a relative stat for us in this situation. So coming in at level 1, assuming you're taking your contagion first, you're going to get the 4% max health heal every 8 seconds from hitting an auto, which is a respectable 3.5 health per second, plus contagion, which you're going to proc every 13 seconds for an additional 1.85, plus his base, you get to nearly 7 health per second, which is decent sustainable. And the contagion, of course, also heals allies, so that is nice. And then, since the passive scales off of max health, and the scaling increases to 10% in the late game, and it still stays on an 8-second cooldown, you actually get very decent healing per second sustainably from his passive in the late game at 36.5 health per second just from his passive. And then with his contagion, even with no ability or no items built, on a 9-second cooldown instead of 13, gives you a nice bit of bonus health per second. So after his base regen, getting him to 53 sustained health per second, very respectable when you compare it to some of these other guys, like Greystone's passive healing, you know, Countess, Mori. It makes him look quite good, and a lot of that heals your team as well. So very respectable healing for Mourn. Also scales quite well with magical power, relatively. So Narbash. Narbash is a fun one for sure. He's got his healing from his drums, where he plays the song ability. It heals for a flat amount, plus physical or plus magical power scaling, plus a scaling based on the amount of stacks he has. We're going to assume he's always at 24 stacks because that is the ideal scenario. So, of course, he gets 0 magical power for leveling, so at level 1 and at level 18, 0 magical power. But the 24 stacks does have flat scaling, and the base healing has scaling as well. So his heal per second at level 1 is the flat amount plus the stacking amount, which comes out to 11.6 health per second, plus his base healing gets him to 13 health per second at level 1. That is quite good. Of course, you will not have the mana to sustain that for very long because it is very costly to keep that ability going, but that is very good health per second at level 1. You see, compared to almost everybody except for Khaimera, that is one of the stronger ones. You also have to keep in mind that this is doubled against allies. Yep, I have it right here. So This gets not just magical power scaling like it reads here, but also gets ability haste scaling, because these ticks come out 1 per second naturally, but the more haste you have, they do come out faster. So this will actually scale both with magical power and ability haste, and it's doubled to allies, which can make this very powerful. This is the most powerful ally healing ability in the game for sure. So healing per second comes out to at level 18 when you're at max stacks, max flat scaling, no items built, plus his base 27.5, which is a lot poorer than his base regen that you see at level 1. But again, you got to keep in mind that this is getting double scaling from both haste and power, and it's doubled to allies again. So this is incredible teammates healing, but very costly single target healing for sure. And finally, the last of our 10 that we're looking at is Rampage. He gets passive healing from his passive based on his max health, which does scale up per level. It starts at a very measly amount, but does increase as he levels, which is decent. We did some nice testing here to confirm if level 1 counts for this or if it does not. It does not in this case, so you just never know. You got to do this testing to find it out. It's also doubled in the jungle, which is worth noting. And then he won't have it at level 1, but his ult gives him a huge chunk of max health, which does increase the effectiveness of his passive, and it gives him additional max health healing per second. So at level 1, 710 base health. His passive regen reads 1.1 in the jungle, that will get doubled. And then at level 18, he's got 6.5 base regen, a much bigger health pool, increasing to 3,500 when he's ulting. His passive regen reads 11.5, again that will get doubled in the jungle, and then his ult regen reads 129 when you're ulting. So pretty solid at level 1. Just for his base max health, he gets basically a free 1 health per second added, double that to 2 in the jungle, plus his base comes out to just shy of 4 health per second while in the jungle. That's the ideal scenario, so that's the scenario he gets tested in. We did confirm that in the practice arena, that all this math is correct. At level 18, not factoring in his ult, so just his normal passive regen, he gets significantly stronger scaling at 0.004, so basically 4% of your max health a second, this is 0.4% of your max health per second, which comes out to 11.5 health per second, which will be doubled in jungle to nearly 23, plus his base comes out to just shy of 30 health per second just for existing in the jungle, which is solid health regen. That's realistically on par with Morigesh spamming both of his abilities with no items, or better than Greystone being at 1% health. So that's strong healing for sure. But once you factor in his ult, which gives him a massive amount of regen based off of his boosted max health that he gets while ulting, you get to a massive 164.5 health per second while ulting and in the jungle. Testing confirmed, no items, and you can still get this amount of health just instantly on demand for hitting his ult in the jungle. So, in conclusion here, this is the data summary. All the 10 heroes that I tested, their health per second gained under ideal scenarios at level 1 and at level 18. Some of them are obviously unrealistic scenarios, but it is what it is. And here are the charts that I've got to give you a visualization of what that looks like. Starting off here at level 1, we see the clear outlier of Khaimera because he does have absurd level 1 healing by stacking up his passive. But you see some other helpful information here. Narb actually coming in at second, very strong level 1 healing if you've got the mana to support it. Grux and Greystone, you've got to keep in mind that these calculations are really unrealistic scenarios because it's calculating them both as having basically 1 health and then hitting their abilities and then getting back to 1 health before they hit their abilities another time. So these are slightly inflated numbers due to compared to what it would be in reality. Whereas somebody like Boris, Khaimera, Narbash, Ramp, this is what their healing is just going to be sustained. They can have this healing without being 1% health left like Grux and Grey. Crunch doesn't have his ult yet, so he gets the worst healing here. Morigesh only has 1 of her 2 healing abilities, so she gets quite poor healing. at level 1, and Countess, not the best either. Ramp just has his passive, which scales with levels, so he has a hard time keeping up here as well. But Khaimera, very strong at level 1. Then we take a look at level 18, and again, you see Khaimera, the clear outlier. If he's got his 30 stacks up, and he's building, and he's spamming his Invigorate when it comes off cooldown, it is so much healing. You simply cannot take him down unless you're able to sustain over 300 damage per second, because that's how much he's able to heal with no items, which is absurd. Boris, for as good of a healer as he is, does not quite get up to that level. Again, Greystone and Grux, this is factoring in Greystone's ult, which gives him just a slight boost here, and this is factoring in Grux hitting his double pain on repeat at 1 health remaining, so an inflated number for sure. Crunch having respectable healing, as we mentioned above, with no items on, just getting his flat healing every 3rd auto is not too bad. Mori and Count, really reliant on magical power to get any sort of scaling on their healing, as well as potentially magical lifesteal items like Magnify and Overseer. And Lifebinder, Mourn still able to compete for sure. His passive scales off of max health, so even late game he's got great max health healing. Narb, like we mentioned before, this isn't a very impressive number, but the number's basically doubled to allies and gets scaling from both magical power and ability haste, so in reality it will be significantly higher. And then Ramp's number here is inflated because this is factoring in him while he's ulting. When he's not ulting, he has a much more puny 30 at level 18, but when he's ulting in the jungle, which is the ideal scenario, he still gets to slightly more than half of Khaimera, who is the definitive king of healing in Predecessor. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Show some appreciation for the amount of math that went into this one and the amount of testing that I had to do in the practice arena. Gonna be gone this weekend, but I hope you guys are enjoying Pred regardless. Hop into this spreadsheet for yourself, linked in the description below if you want to check out any of my numbers, fix any numbers, or add some more heroes. I know I didn't mention someone like FaZe, whose healing is reliant on being linked to somebody. Didn't crunch any numbers on Kalarizars or Sev because their healing is out of combat essentially. But that's what I've got for you guys today. I've got definitive proof that Khaimera is the king of healing. This is with no items built. Of course, you can build 6 healing items on somebody like Grux, and he's going to have better healing than a Khaimera that builds no healing. Well, maybe he won't, actually. This is kind of a big gap here, if I'm being honest. But you know what I mean. You can build 3 magical lifesteal items on Countess and have better healing than you're going to get on Narbash with a ton of haste or whatever, you know. But with no items to no items, these are the pure in-kit healing that you get from these heroes. I mean, you can make the argument that Boris is the best healer in the game when I build Rapture, Sky Splitter, and Mutilator on him, and Void Helm, and Draconum, but what if you build those same items on Khaimera? Khaimera's going to have better healing, because this is the base 0 items to 0 items in-kit healing, so that's, it's just how it is, folks. I'm sure future balance changes will adjust some of these numbers around, but I doubt the bars will swing too much in any one hero's favor. Count just this patch receiving a slight healing nerf, but she's not one of the outliers on this table. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on builds for these heroes. Like I said, I prefer to build Khaimera tanky, because if he's already able just with his kit to get 300 health per second, why build any more healing realistically? Just build enough tankiness to where they can't deal 300 damage a second to you, and then you'll never be killable. You know, it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch you on the next one when I'm back from this break, this Memorial Day weekend. We will get right back into some Pred matches and keep testing out the version 1.5.7 meta. Check out my patch notes video on that if you've missed anything. Hope everyone's enjoying the Skylar reskin and the Wukong announcer voice. And we will catch y'all on the next one. Keep enjoying Pred, man. Just keep enjoying Pred.